Today I want to talk about puzzles. Puzzles, something that I love a lot, but boy, they can be polarizing at the table. Let's talk about them, see if we can work through them a little bit for you. Plus, something happened at my table with combat that I think we forget about that can be a huge benefit to your table. Thanks for checking out New Dice. Hey, I'm Sean. This is New Dice. Thanks for checking out the channel. Thank you for taking some time to watch this. We're going to talk puzzles today. I am somebody who loves puzzles in general. I love crossword puzzles. I love jigsaw puzzles. I love watching the show Survivor just so I can watch the challenges and see the puzzles at the end of the game. I love puzzles. So when it comes to D&D, puzzles are something that I really enjoy, but I know they can be extremely polarizing. I would say more than any other part of the game, combat, RP, I think puzzles really can ruin a session more than anything else. So how do you go about that? How do you make puzzles fun? For the people like me who love them, maybe GMs who love making them, what do you do to bring the puzzle to your table successfully? I have some ideas for it. So let's see what we got here. Let's talk about this together. Feel free to get in the comments. I'm new to the whole GMing thing. I've played for a couple of years. I'm not one of these people who's played for decades, but I played for enough years to have been in some sessions where I've seen puzzles work and fail. How do you combat it failing? Well, I think one thing that needs to be addressed right off the bat before we get into three puzzles that I want to give you and different things you can think about when putting a puzzle into your game. Before we do anything, if a puzzle is going to be something that blocks off narrative and that solving a puzzle is going to be the only way to progress the story, I think you need to make sure that puzzle is very easy. Very easy. Definitely nothing more than like a medium difficulty, because there really is nothing more frustrating than having a group who's not great at a puzzle. They run into the puzzle that's going to get them to the end of the dungeon. They don't know how to figure it out. And maybe you relayed the puzzle poorly. And so now they're trying to figure out the puzzle you've relayed to them poorly, and it's just not working. And eventually you just have to give them pretty much all the solutions. And at the end of that, they do the puzzle. They're like, well, you did the puzzle and it doesn't work. So I think if you're going to do a puzzle that has to get done, it needs to be easy. What would I do? Well, let's talk about how I approach puzzles. I think the best usage of a puzzle is not to block story, is not to block progression in a quest. I think it is to protect treasure, to protect side stuff that doesn't really matter in terms of the big, broad story, but maybe can add a lot of flavor to it. I do think treasure is my favorite thing to put behind a puzzle, and we're going to talk about some opportunities to do that. But if you do want to, and let's get to puzzle number one, if you do want to have it be a barricade, what I would recommend is, let's just go to a dungeon. You have a room that has a door in it that on the other side of this door is the guy we're looking for. The lich is there. The treasure is there. And we know when we get that door open, it's on. We've made it. I think you need to make sure you have an option outside of just that door to get into that room. So maybe there's a side door, but you hear down that side door, you hear the, clickety clack of enemy feet down this corridor. You know that going down there is going to lead to fights. It's not going to be just a walk in the park. And maybe through that way, there's some difficult terrain they've got to maneuver. And so getting to this final room, yeah, there is another route, but it's going to be difficult. It's going to be tricky. It's going to take away some of their, they're going to use healing potions. They're going to, use some spell slots. It's going to take some of this stuff away, their currency away. Getting through that door would be nice, but you don't want it to block them, because if they can't figure it out, that's going to frustrate them. So one of the things I would recommend, you've got 3 orbs above the door, and hidden throughout this dungeon, there are loose rocks on the walls that when you touch them, it sinks in and that rock starts to glow a color. Blue, red, green. You got 3 different rocks hidden throughout this dungeon. So one thing I would recommend is you make one of these very easy to find later on in the dungeon. So later on in the dungeon, maybe even after this room with the door, there's a very obvious, you go into a room and it's like what you see and you can like make it out very easily. In early rooms in the dungeon, you can't. You have to do some investigation. You reward your players who investigate. And when you find one, you touch it, and the thing on the wall burns bright blue. When you go back or you get to the room with the door, there's bright blue. One of the orbs is bright blue. And maybe someone's going to realize, oh, we hit that button back in at the entrance of the cave, expecting we hit it. It turned blue. We expected chaos to happen. Nothing happened. We've been kind of worried about it the whole time. It ended up being one of these 3 orbs above the door. Where are the other 2? And it kind of gets them promoting them to go search the dungeon, investigate a little bit. I think that's kind of cool. And it's a way to get, if you like, something to block narrative. It's a fun way to do that where, again, you have your other option. It's not super duper hard. And again, I think it could be a cool one to throw onto your table. The other thing I like to do with puzzles, though, is I don't like them to block anything. I like them to just be a reward. So here's 2 ideas. One is for the diehard puzzle people at your table, and the other one's just kind of something fun. You walk into a castle. Your party walks into a castle. And in this main foyer, there is a statue of a warrior. And you go down and you describe this warrior. And he's got this cool helmet and the face of a warrior, beautiful armor on, a belt around. You describe this cool belt and the sheath that's hanging off of his hip. He's got a shield in one hand. His other hand, empty. Looks like it should be holding something, and it's empty. And then you describe his boots, beautiful boots, right? So you've got all of these different kind of pieces of equipment that your warriors would have on this statue, except he's missing a weapon. And as they go through this castle, when you're describing rooms and you're looking around, you throw in, you see this and this and this. And over on the corner, you see this beautiful same, marble. Maybe you do marble for the statue. You see, or whatever kind of stone. Come up with a stone that maybe is, whatever. Let's do marble. You see this beautiful marble axe, decorative axe laying on the ground over in the corner of the room. All right, you go to another room, there's a mace. You go to another room, there's a sword. You go to another room, there's a javelin. And eventually maybe one of your players realizes, well, what if we take this weapon and put it back in that warrior's hand, that warrior that had the empty hand? What's going to happen? Now, if they never figure that out, look, this didn't block any storyline. You've got no sweat off the back. They didn't see the puzzle. They didn't care about the puzzle. That's fine. But if they do worry about the puzzle and they start to think about it, your key here, for if you want to get a little more elaborate with it like I did, you have the empty sheath on the hip. It's a sword. You need to put the sword in the guy's hand. That's the way to solve the puzzle. If another weapon goes onto the hand, the puzzle reacts poorly. Maybe a fireball goes off. It's really bad, does a lot of damage. Someone could get killed. But it's the price you pay for messing around with the traps, right? In D&D. So if they get the sword, put it in his hand, what happens? Well, the statue, all the equipment comes to life. The helm, the armor, the belt, the boots, the shield, the sword, everything's alive. And a smart adventurer or a daring one can take something off of this warrior to see if it's, I want to see if I can get the sword back. And when they take an item off of this statue that's now got these actual pieces of equipment on them, they take it, the statue, to dust. It disappears. But they get to keep that piece of equipment, and it's a cool magical item. And they got that for solving this puzzle. That's a great little benefit for a puzzle. Puzzle number 3, these are a long one. This is a long one. And this one really rewards those people who love puzzles and helps you as a DM keep your characters invested in your game during the week when you're not playing. Run into a merchant. Merchant has a board with a baggie on it. In that baggie are a bunch of tiles, like Scrabble tiles, little tiles with letters on them. You can put them on 3x5 cards. And then it's got a key in there as well. And this is a hard puzzle, right? This is an extreme puzzle. But the puzzle is a sentence, a long one, not just one word, a long sentence, hard to solve. The one I came up with just now, right before I hit record, the lone tree outside the north gate of Stormwind holds the keyhole. That's a lot of tiles. That's a lot of words. All right? Space is not included. But you get these pieces and you hand them to your players. And you say, look, this is what it is. You're the merchant. I don't know what it does. But we were messing around with it, and you put the tiles on the board, and they magnetize to the board. And once all the tiles are on the board edge glows red, and then all the tiles are loose again. And see, if you put all the tiles in correctly, it has a sentence on it. and the board edges glow green, and you've now unlocked the clue, which in this one, the lone tree outside the north gate of Stormwind holds the keyhole. You've got the key, Stormwind, or whatever city you've got. Could be a city they go to a lot. They go to the north gate, they see this tree. When they get close with the key, it vibrates, it glows, and a little keyhole shows up on the tree. And there you go. You put your treasure, something really cool for the party, inside that tree. And that's just a really fun way to give them something cool. But also during the week, your puzzle lovers aren't going to be wasting your time at the table. They're going to be wasting company time, right? Looking at these letters, writing stuff down, texting your group, being like, hey, did anyone look at the puzzle? Is anyone else doing the puzzle like me? Any words out there? I got Stormwind. I think I saw Stormwind, so we can maybe lock that in. And I just think it's a really cool way to do it. Bring a puzzle to the table that is bigger than just that session, and is something very fun that your puzzle lovers can do that doesn't really affect those people at your table who despise a puzzle. All right, so let's get puzzles fun at the table again. Let's bring them back. Let's use them correctly. Let's not use them as a blockade. Let's use them as something that helps with a reward for your party. And if they don't get the puzzle done, no worries. No sweat off your back. All right, let's head to the table. All right, this week at my table, we had something very interesting happen. The other characters and I ran into a situation where we walked into a room where we were outmatched. And as my group is known to do, we decided to pull swords out as opposed to really negotiate. And we started fighting. And our DM, Matt, made it very clear this is a very powerful group of people. And we decided to tell him, we are powerful as well. We are going to fight you. And he kept being nice about it. And he was like, these are really powerful people. And we just kept on fighting and fighting and fighting until finally he had to hit us over the head with the main villain. And after warning, he finally just said, run. Like as a taunting way, the guy was like, I'm going to beat your buns. Run. And it was interesting that Matt had to do this. That he had to like really force feed us this option when we knew we could do that. I think it's something we need to promote more at our tables, running. Because right off the bat, when you hear running, it feels like you quit. It feels like you're letting yourself down. You get in this battle and you run. Well, that's not fun. We just fought for 30 minutes and we didn't get anything out of it. But that's not the mindset to have, because you did get something out of it. First of all, if you got out of there, you stayed alive with your character, so you got that part of it. And you also learned something. Okay, we can't fight this guy the way we are. Let's regroup. Let's team up. Let's use our brains together and think, what can we do differently? Who do we need to talk to? What do we need to do to approach this? Do we need another plan of attack? Do we need to not fight? Do we need to get better stuff to fight with? Do we need to get more people to come fight with us? And it lets your group running and getting out of a situation that was tough, allows your group to get creative in a space that creativity is the name of the game. So it was a bummer that Matt had to hit us over the head with run, but we're now going to be in a situation to start our game off this week where we are outside of this battle and we get to sit and talk for a little while about how we want to go back in there and approach this guy that we need to confront and we might need to take out. What are our options? We now get to do that. We get to work through that. And there's going to be a really big sense of accomplishment when we come up with something that works. It's going to feel way cooler than just going in there and hacking and slashing and yay, it was great. We won another fight. This one's going to have a little more blood, sweat, and tears put into it. So remember, running's an option. That isn't bad. It doesn't mean you failed. It doesn't mean that you quit. It just means now you've got an opportunity to make it even better and to build the narrative even more. All right, thanks for checking out New Dice. I really appreciate anyone who's given this channel any time at all. It means a lot to me. Hope you learned something today. Hopefully you took something from it today. You can use it your game as a player or a GM. And if you didn't, go to the comments and tell me you didn't learn a doggone thing and I owe you one. Thanks for participating. For those of you who do comment, we'll see you down there hopefully soon.